In this video, we're going to be finding the area of trapezoids. So let's talk about what a trapezoid is. We've looked at how to find the area of triangles and parallelograms already. A trapezoid is like a parallelogram, has four sides. It's quadrilateral. A parallelogram has opposite sides that are all parallel. The difference between a parallelogram and a trapezoid is that a trapezoid only has two sides that are parallel. So this is an example of a trapezoid. These sides are parallel. If I can extend it, these lines, they're never going to meet, which is what it means to be parallel. But if I look at these other two sides, if I kept going, these would eventually cross, and so they would not be parallel. So a trapezoid, two sides parallel, parallelogram, opposite sides are parallel as well. So they have different formulas, and we'll talk more in class about why the formula for a trapezoid is a little different than the parallelogram. But for now, we're just going to learn how to use the formula. So a trapezoid has two bases. They're called B1 and B2, that little one. You just say base 1, and B2 just stands for base 2. And the bases are always the parallel sides, and probably we should include that in our definition. So the bases are always parallel. So that's going to identify base 1 and base 2. The height of the trapezoid will always be the distance between the two bases. So again, you're going to be looking, as in the parallelogram triangle, for a height and a base that make a right angle. So that is going to identify the height. Then the formula for the area of this trapezoid is going to be equal to half the product of the height h and the sum of the bases, which is kind of wordy, but it looks like this. So the area A is equal to 1/2. The sum, we're going to add the two bases together and then multiply by the height. All right. So it looks a little complicated. It'll get easier the more you use it. But really, this is not something you ever have to memorize. Remember, this is going to be included on your star chart, so you just have to remember to look for it. And you have to be able to know what a trapezoid looks like. And don't just make the assumption that it always will look like this. If I turned it this way, it's still a trapezoid. These are still my parallel sides. Okay, it's just been turned around. So kind of get used to recognizing it in more than one position, and then you'll be able to identify it and pick the right formula. So let's do this first example. Determine the area of a trapezoid. First thing I want to do is write down this formula, because there's a lot to it. Base 1 plus base 2 times the height. Basically I'm replacing these letters with the information given to me on the picture. So I know the opposite sides are my bases, so I'm going to write 1/2. Base 1 is 4, base 2 is 6. The height, I'm looking for the right angle, it's right there, is 3. The next step is to work out what's in parentheses. So I'm going to do 4 plus 6. So now I have 1/2 of 10 times 3. All right, so if I go ahead and multiply 10 times 3, I get 30. If I take 1/2 of 30, really I'm just dividing 30 by 2. So if you're not sure what that is, you can always do this out to the side too. We'll go into 30 once. Bring down the 0, 2 will go into 10 5 times. So half of 30 is 15. The area of this trapezoid is 15. It's in square feet because, again, it's area. So let's just keep practicing. That's the best thing to do with the trapezoid formula for sure. In the next example, just a basic trapezoid, I'm going to write my formula again, 1/2 base 1 plus base 2 times the height. And this may seem repetitive, but again, eventually these figures or these shapes are all going to get mixed up. And so if you write the formula down every time, it's really a lot safer. You'll not forget things like the 1/2, especially in the triangle and trapezoid formulas. Okay, so plug in what we know. 1/2 bases are these sides because they're parallel. 18 plus 24 times the height, which is 12. All right, I'm going to start by adding 18 plus 24. 12, carry the 1, is 42. Now I have to do 1/2 of 42 times 12. All right, so I can multiply 42 times 12 next. 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 4 is 8. Start with a 0, 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 4 is 4. Add those up, 4, 10, carry 1 is 5. So now I have 1/2, I did this part, 1/2 of 504. And 1/2 of something just really means dividing it by 2. So now I need to divide 2 to 504. It'll go into 5 twice. Subtract 4, bring down the 0, 2 will go into 10 5 times. Subtract 10, bring down the 4, 2 will go into 4 2 times. All right, so my final answer is 252. This is being measured in centimeters. So for area, it's going to be square centimeters. In the next example, this is also a trapezoid. The right angle is in the corner here, but there's still 2 parallel sides, and these are not parallel sides, so it's a trapezoid. Same formula as before. A is equal to 1/2 base 1 plus base 2 times the height. Right, so I'm going to do 1/2. My bases are 8 and 10. My height is 6. So if I start by adding 8 plus 10, I get 18 times 6. Now, one trick sometimes when you're working with half of something is because multiplication is commutative, I can do things in different orders. And here, I've been multiplying 18 times 6 and then taking half of that. I can still do that. But right now, 1/2 of 18 is really pretty easy to do. If I know that if I divide 18 by 2, I get 9. That's going to be a lot easier to multiply times 6 than 18. So I'm going to go ahead and do this part first this time. So 1/2 of 18 is 9. Then I still have to multiply it times 6. That gives me 54. And this is in inches squared. Now, if you would rather multiply first and then divide by 2, same answer. And it's just a different way to do it. Number 3, here's an example of a trapezoid that's sort of been turned, right? If I turned it this way, you might recognize that shape. A lot of people recognize a trapezoid as a triangle that's kind of had the top cut off. But when it's being drawn this way, sometimes people don't recognize it. Okay, so these are my opposite sides. I'm still going to use the same formula. Base 1 plus base 2 times the height, and then it's always 1/2 of that. All right, so when I plug in the bases, these are parallel, so those are my bases. 7 plus 26, the height is making a right angle right here, so that would be 12. And I need to start by adding 7 plus 26 is 33, so now I have 1/2 of 33 times 12. So here's an example again. I could multiply 33 times 12. That's fine. And then divide by 2. And you can do it that way. But I like shortcuts. And when I look at this, I know that 1/2 of 12 is pretty easy to find. If I divide 12 by 2, I get 6. And 6 is a lot easier to multiply times 33 than 12. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do 1/2 times 12. That gives me 6. And then I still need to multiply times 33. So 33 times 6. 6 times 3 is 18, carry 1. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 1 is 19. So my answer is 198. It's in feet squared. Again, you don't have to do it this way. If you want to do 33 times 12 first, and then divide by 2, go for it. Alright, last example. Kind of hard to read, but it did say determine the missing dimensions. So, as with the triangle and parallelogram, the formula is not just used to find area. It can be used to find the other pieces of the trapezoid. I'm going to make sure to write down my formula so I don't forget any part of it. Makes it easier to substitute into. So base 1, that's the B1, it's 4. Base 2, that's B2, that's 8. And the area A, that's going to be 24. So I'm going to replace A with 24. Half is just part of the formula. Base 1 is 4, base 2 is 8, and then height is what I'm looking for. All right, I want to start with what's in parentheses first. 4 plus 8 is 12. And then I'm going to do half of that. Because I can't multiply times something I didn't know. Half of 12, if I just divide it by 2, is 6. Now I have 24 equals to 6h. That's an equation. I know how to solve that. Cut it in half. isolate your variable right here. So how do I do that? I do the opposite. I do the inverse. So this is being multiplied. I want to do the opposite, which is divide. I'm going to do it to both sides. So this goes away, and then h is equal to 24 divided by 6, which is 4. And I want to make sure to include the measurement with that. So this is going to be in inches, 4 inches. That's my height. It's just height, so it's just in regular inches, not inches squared. All right, area of a trapezoid. This funny looking formula is what you're going to be using to find the area of a trapezoid. Again, it doesn't have to be memorized. It's on your chart, but just don't forget to write it down. It's a lot easier to not forget part of it if you're always seeing it. It's good practice too. All right, have a good evening. Thanks.